Okay, so today we are going to be painting this grill that I got for free on the hookup, free 99, and it's going to go on to the blue Jeep. Bris working as always. Thinking about leaving these silver because this is a limited grill, so it'd be kind of cool just to leave those silver. I don't know if it would look good. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but gonna pop these all out real quick. I'm actually gonna pull off the Jeep lettering because I don't know if you guys can see, it's damage underneath from the previous owner. They must have tried to take off the letters with like a screwdriver, not with a fishing line like how you're supposed to, and then they just tried to touch it up, and then they bought new letters and put them back on to cover up the damage. So that's all gonna come off, so it'll be badgeless, and then pop off all the silver trim, and then I'm gonna hit it with some bed liner, rhino lining type spray, give it that kind of rugged look. Unfortunately, this doesn't come off, it's all glued on, so I'm just gonna tape this in a attempt to not have to buy another one. So I'm just gonna tape that off and paint around it. You don't really see it once the hood's closed, so should not be an issue. So we're gonna get started on that. Should be a pretty quick and easy project today. Okay, so all of the plastics are off, these guys. Sliced my hand open on all the sharp plastic edges, so that's cool. I'm gonna be using some fishing wire now. Fishing wire? Fishing line? You know what I'm talking about. And take off these letters so I could sand this area, and then I'm just gonna scuff the whole thing and then give it a quick spray. Shouldn't be too bad. I don't have my knife on me, damn it. All right, we'll try to do it this way. Assistant.
Yes.
Can you come over here and hold this end so it doesn't shimmy shake all over the place? Just hold it. There you go. One, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Good job, assistant.
Happy to help.
That's for you.
Thank you.
All right, so now that that's off, just need to get off this adhesive, sand this area down. Like I said, scuff the whole thing. I'm gonna tape off this weather stripping here, and then we can paint. And the paint's sitting over there in the sun, getting nice and hot, so it sprays nice and even. All right, so emblems are off. I'm gonna start with some 220 right here because this is really hacked up. Try to smooth this out. Then I'm just gonna go back to the sanding brick and just kind of scuff it up. I got one more that's a little more coarse just in case I need it. Then I'm gonna wipe it all down with some alcohol or maybe some paint thinner, depending on what I have in the garage right now. And then just mask this off and we can paint. They really did a number over here with like the gouging. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Thankfully, we're going to be using a rhino liner type bed liner spray, so it'll fill in a lot, but this is like really deep. You can see, I don't know if the angle's good, but you can see like where I'm sanding is the top coat of the grill, and we're not even in those grooves yet with the sandpaper. you're doing stuff like this, any type of body work, you want to make sure that you're actually not just sanding the spot, because you're just going to create more of a divot. You're going to say, oh, cool, I got rid of the damage, but now when you paint it, there's going to be like a riverbed. So you want to make sure that you're sanding at least like 3 to 4 inches away from each direction, and that kind of blends the depth of the paint. Again, we're using a bed liner, so it's really not going to matter in this case, but if I was to paint this like satin black or gloss black, it would make a huge difference, and you would see it would look like shit. I mean, if it was like a trail Jeep, again, probably wouldn't care, but this is a daily driver / off-road toy, so we want to make sure that it still kind of looks nice, keep Bree happy, because if Bree's happy, I'm happy. Right?
Yeah.
I try to sand all in one direction, not to create multiple lines. The paint tends to flow into that. Again, bed liner, not a big deal, but if you were using just a satin paint or a semi-gloss gloss paint, it would show through. Using a block too and wrapping your sandpaper around the block, make sure that the pressure you're applying is basically dispersed evenly. If I was just using my fingers, those pressure points at the tips of your fingers would actually create grooves again in the paint. So it's a lot of work. That's why when you go get like a bumper painted that has damage to it, they're like, oh, it'll be $900. There's a reason for that. It doesn't take 2 seconds to sand and paint the bumper, especially if there's like some sort of damage or it needs Bondo work. You have to make sure that it's very smooth, and you have to have the proper technique and the tools and knowledge. Keep catching that lip there. If this was a more crucial piece to the vehicle, like if it was like a fender or, I don't know, a door, I probably would have filled it with Bondo, smoothed it, let it dry overnight, and then painted it. Again, bed liner, not a huge deal. Something that's very like front facing on the vehicle, it's harder to tell. If it was a side piece, you look at the side of the vehicle more, it would be something that would stand out a lot. But hopefully we can get this smoothed a little bit more, and then scuff the whole thing, give it a quick spray, let that sit, and then give it a couple coats, and we'll be good to go. Because again, rock chips, bed liner should be fine, but if you undercoat, trash truck's coming by. Hold on. Just gonna smooth this out, and then give it a couple coats. Oh, that's what I was saying. So if you give it one coat, there's a chance that one little rock's gonna go poop right through to the original coating. Give it a couple coats, let it dry in between, especially something like bed liner. You're not gonna really worry about fish eyeing or anything like that. We're painting outside, I'm not in a booth. You know, this is a very like simple paint job. That's why we went with a bed liner coating. We're almost there. I think I'm almost actually in the plastic at this point. Like whoever attempted to take off that badge, you saw how easy it was with the fishing line. That's all you need. Like if you're trying to debadge your vehicle, don't be taking screwdrivers out there, prying tools. You don't need keys. Like I've seen everything. I've seen people take a steak knife to take off a letter one time. It was one of my neighbors. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, let me go help you. So fishing line, easiest way. If you live in cold climate, hit it with a heat gun hair dryer, then hit it with the fishing line. They pop right off, take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, the adhesive comes off, and you're good to go. This way you're not stuck doing what I'm doing right now. But again, I got it for free, can't really complain. Definitely getting into some plastic, I think. So I think I'm gonna relax here. I think that's good enough. I really wanted to smooth it completely, but it's probably not gonna happen. I think the bed liner will fill, because I don't want to keep sanding. I'm starting to get like a roll of plastic coming up from the grill. So give it a quick light sand, scuff the paint a little bit. Again, try to keep it consistent. The idea behind doing this is that the paint will have something to grab onto on like a molecular level. If you just paint over a gloss finish with clear coat, one little rock, the paint's just gonna flake off because it's a smooth surface. So you need to make sure that there's something for it to grab onto. I wish that was a little smoother, but again, I'm getting into the plastic, so it's going to end up creating like a larger divot. So hopefully the bed liner, I'll probably put a couple extra coats there and try to build up a little bit. Nice shot of my ass, huh? Alright, so before I do some of the intricate sanding, I want to tape this off before it gets more damage than it already is. Probably should have taped that already, that's my bad. Alright, so fully scuffed, sanded every area I could get into. Not too worried about it because there's that trim that's going to go over all these like spots, so hopefully we don't have any issues with flaking or peeling. This is as best as I'm going to get this. It's still a little divotty, but it's a lot better than it was. So taped off the weather stripping here so that isn't get covered in paint. I'm only painting basically the front and the top sides. The inside part here, I'd have to pull off the weather stripping, and I don't have to do that because I have to buy a new piece. So we're just going to do this outside part that you can see, and it should look good. I'm just going to get the paint and get started. Always want to shake it up real good. I let it sit in the sun for a little bit to loosen everything up. A little cold in the garage, so this is good. Now, if I was doing a gloss or semi-gloss finish, I would probably change the tip out to one of those nice like Krylon fan spray tips. Disregard my band-aids. But for this, shouldn't be too bad just with a regular tip. So. So far going on pretty good. This has got a really thick spray, so I'm staying far away, just kind of dusting right now. So far coverage is really good. Let's let it set up now before I do a final coat. This new Bud Light Seltzer is not bad. Not sponsored.
I was gonna say, watch it.
Not sponsored, just drinking it.
Looks natty.
Yeah, it's nice.
I like it a lot.
It's a good finish, actually. I'm glad that we bought that.
Very nice.
So far, so good. Just checking to make sure we're getting good coverage in the spots that are hard to see. We'll probably give it one more final coat once it dries fully. It's still a little wet right here. That area is not looking too bad. We're gonna let it sit in the sun for a little bit, dry up, and then we'll do a final coat, and then we should be all good, and then let it sit and dry for a couple hours, and then we'll install it. Okay, so final coat. I could still see where the divots were, but I don't think I'm gonna do anything about that. I'm not gonna keep sanding that area. It's almost dry up there, so I'm just gonna give it one last coat, and then we're gonna stick it in the sun. More sun right over there, and then it's time for lunch. Rule of thumb, stop painting, because otherwise you just get little splatter doo-doos everywhere all over your paint job.
So wise.
Yes. I'm wise with the splatter doo-doos. All right, so I'm gonna slide this over into the sun after it sets up for a little bit. I don't want to touch it when it's super wet right now, but hopefully this dries pretty smooth. And that's it. I'm gonna let it dry. And then Bree said gloss is for bitches, so we're going with a matte finish on this. What do you think?
I love it.
Good. All right, so we're gonna let this dry in the sun, and then we will install it on the Jeep and see how she looks once I put all the plastic pieces back in. And hopefully we're good to go. All right, all done. Looks much better. I like it more than the angry eye look. Whoa, kicked my tripod. Silver pieces back in. We're gonna leave them silver. I think it kind of looks nice. It makes the grill stand out a little more instead of being all black. These turn signals are terrible. This one's like falling apart. So gonna order some new turn signals, probably some new headlights too, some new retaining rings because they're all rusty, and see if we can get them to fit a little better. These stick out quite a bit. I'm not really sure about tucking them back further and aiming them yet, so probably wait till I just get new stuff. But for right now, looks much better. A little side shot. Pretty happy with the result. Takes about 48 hours to cure fully, but it is dry. I was able to handle it and not mess the paint up at all. These things are a pain in the ass to put back in because some of them are different sizes. Some of them have little tabs that go in certain areas, so I had to puzzle piece them back together. But overall, pretty happy with the final product. Next thing I'll probably do metal tubular fenders and get a stubby front bumper because I'm rubbing quite a bit in sharp turns. You can see some rub damage over there. And that's it. That's all for the Jeep today. Next up, we'll be working on this guy a little bit more and maybe that pile over there. Deuces.